is Abhyasa yoga yuktena chetasananya paramam purusham divyam yati parthanuchintayam. This is a verse in 8th chapter, it's 8th verse. So Lord says, he who meditates on me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, his mind constantly engaged in remembering me, undeviated from the path, he, O Arjuna, is sure to reach me. So here, the Lord of the Lords, the Supreme Lord, Lord Krishna, is not talking about any mechanical means. So earlier, previous chapters, he has already spoken about different kinds of yoga, worshipping demigods, reaching their destinations. So, but here he is specifically, emphatically mentioning that what is the process for achieving him? What is the process for reaching his planet, the Golok Vrindavan? So that's very simple, actually. The most difficult one, I would say. Uh, he who meditates on me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, his mind constantly engaged in remembering me. So to remember constantly of Supreme Lord is never an easy job. So you try that, you will come to know. So it's easy to say, but when it comes to practice, many stalwarts fall away. So because our mind is constantly tormented by so many desires for sense enjoyment, whether gross or subtle. So and in between such oceanic over oceanic flow of uh, oceanic treasure of things that we're keeping in our heart, when it bursts into our mind, so all amidst those desires, remembering Krishna is something, it's not so easy. So that is why in Bhagavad Gita we'll see in 6th chapter, Arjuna says that I can control the wind, but I cannot control my mind. So when Arjuna is saying that he can control the raising wind, it's not a joke. He means actually that. So, but he's not capable of controlling his mind, taming his mind completely. So that is the nature of flickering mind we are all bestowed with. So, and one who has conquered the mind, the mind becomes the best of the friends. And one who has failed to conquer the mind becomes the worst of the enemies. So, and this can only be possible by abhyasa yoga yuktena, by practice, constant. So to remember Krishna is not it's not an overnight job that tomorrow suppose you get a notice that you are going to die. I don't want that. But suppose we get a notice that we're going to die very soon, say tomorrow. So so many of us would go into depression, but the devotees, they know what to do, just like Maharaj Parikshit did. He retired from the family life and exclusively took shelter of Krishna, constantly remembering, engaging in devotional service. So, what Lord Krishna is saying, that when one is able to do this thing, this one thing, remembering him, so through Abhyasa Yoga, by constant practice, so he is eligible to come to the spiritual world. And then Srila Prabhupada says this is not a very difficult process. However, one must learn it from experienced person. So to achieve this feat is uh, is is difficult, but it can be practiced. And to practice this, one has to learn it from an experienced person. So that is why Lord Krishna says, "Tad vijnanartham," so, as scriptures, the Upanishads say, "Tad vijnanartham sa guru meva vigaccheti." One must approach a person who is already in the practice. Just like we go to school for what purpose? We go to school to learn from the teacher, because the teacher is teacher because he has or she has been a student before. She or he has already practiced it. So being experienced, he knows how to guide us. So, so the basic principle of spiritual life is that vijnanartham sab guru meva abhigachet. It's not a matter of choice. Abhigachet is a phrase in Sanskrit, if you know, it's mandatory. You must go. So one must approach person who is already in practice. The mind is always flying to this end and that, but one must practice concentrating the mind always on the form of the Supreme Lord, Sri Krishna, or on the sound of his name. The mind is naturally restless, going hither and thither, but it can rest in the sound vibration of Krishna. One must thus meditate on Paramam Purusham, not India-Pakistan match here in yesterday there was a match. Many people were engrossed, or many mundane affairs. Um, there's so many things in this world to discuss except Krishna. So one must thus meditate on Paramam Purusham, not anything lower. So when our objective is something supreme, then the destination is also supreme. The Supreme Personality Godhead in the spiritual kingdom, the spiritual sky, and thus attain Him. The ways and the means for ultimate realization, ultimate attainment are stated in the Bhagavad Gita, and the doors of this knowledge are open to everyone. So sometimes people think that when certain award is given, that is for a very few. The destination is given the as we discussed last time probably. So the whole exam is before us. We know what question is coming, what is the syllabus, how to prepare. It's all given. Uh, this destination is not reserved for one or two. This destination is open for everyone to take. So, but the only problem is, as Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj used to say, so in this, when you sell diamonds, there are very few to purchase it. So, but if you sell duplicate, I mean, glasses, so there would be many cheaters and cheated coming forward for the show. So, but that is never the case for the ultimate destination. So nobody can ever cheat it. Nobody can fake it that he's not a devotee and he can go to spiritual world. So that so without being thoroughly purified, one doesn't have entry to the spiritual kingdom. So although it is open, but yet it is the most difficult and most confidential thing, because unless and until one comes to the shelter of the spiritual master, as this phrase, this verse from Upanishad says, Tat Vijnanartham sa Gurumeva Vigachet. Then the next line also, here it is not written, but the next line is Samit Pani Sotriyam Brahmanishtam. So that who is that spiritual master? He is Shrotriyam Brahmanishtam. Is well versed in the scriptures and Brahmanishtam. Is situated in the Brahman. So he has already been Brahman, faultless. So no one is barred out. All classes of men can approach Lord Krishna by thinking of him. So for thinking of Krishna, nobody would have to pay anything. So even if one is situated in the worst of the conditions in the life, say somebody in today's times, if I compare suppose somebody in Israel or somebody in Palestine, so the life is hell there now. But even despite being situated in such a difficult condition of life, one can still afford to think of the Supreme Lord. So there is nobody would have to, nobody can deprive one from thinking of the Lord, and that is where the mind becomes the best of the friends. So, so all classes of men can approach Lord by thinking of Him. For hearing and thinking of Him are possible for everyone. So, so this is the open secret. So secret and yet open. So Lord, chapter 32 and 33rd verse. माम हि पार्थ व्यपाश्रित्य ये पीशु पापयोनयो स्त्रियो वैश्य तथा शूद्रा तेपि यान्ति परां गतिं किं पुनर्ब्रह्मणा पुण्या भक्ता राजर्षय तथा अनित्यमसुखं लोकम इमं प्राप्य भजस्व माम्. So this is a very famous verse, sometimes misinterpreted also. Mami partha vyapashritya yepi shu papa yonayo striyo vaishya tatha shudra tepi yanti param gatim. So just to establish that everyone has the right to the spiritual kingdom. Ultimately, everybody is part and parcel of the eternally. We are a servant of Krishna, but because of forgetting Krishna, we are here to imitate Krishna as Purusha to enjoy this world. Um, and in that futile attempt, we may come to know that we are not the master of the world, we are actually servant of the master of the world, Krishna. So that is why fifth chapter of Bhagavad Gita, the last verse says, Bhaktaram yajnatapasam sarvaloka maheshwaram suridam sarvabhutana yantamam santam ichyati. One who understands that Krishna is the enjoyer, the supreme proprietor, and master of all sacrifices, so he alone can become peaceful in this world. Others, they may strive hard by so many artificial means, but that happiness is temporary. So this success of life, this ultimate destination of life is open for everyone, and even they may be Papa Yoni. Here, Striyo Vaishya Tatha Sudra Tepi Yanti Param Gati. So here they are compared as Papa Yoni, not in a derogatory sense. It actually conveys the message that no matter whatever one situation is, one can achieve the ultimate destination. So when any person, how no matter how degraded social or spiritual life he may be in, if he ultimately purifies himself and comes to the platform of worshipping Krishna, becoming the servant of Krishna, so what else remains for him or her to attain? So after attaining the Param Gatim, how they become Vyapashritya, Papa Yoni? So they never become. So this verse is a very positive verse, and it teaches us that whatever one's situation is, one has right for ultimate perfection, and nobody is deprived of that perfection because of our previous karma. We may have a certain kind of body, certain kind of facilities available to us, but that does not prohibit us accepting a higher destination of life. In fact, that is the goal of this human form of life, that going for the higher purpose, higher end of higher destination, not that degrading this human form to animal species. So that is not the goal of human form of life. So so then Srila Prabhupada says, thus the Lord says that even the merchant, the fallen woman, the laborer, or even status of life can attain the supreme. One does not need highly developed intelligence. The point is that anyone who accepts the principle of Bhakti Yoga and accepts the Supreme Lord as the summum bonum of life, as the highest target, the ultimate goal, can approach the Lord in the spiritual sky. If one adopts the principles enunciated in the Bhagavad Gita, he can make his life perfect and make a permanent solution to all the problems of life. This is the sum and substance of entire Bhagavad Gita. So, what is the sum and substance of entire Bhagavad Gita? That Bhagavad Gita teaches us that who are you, what is your relation with the other five, the whole of the cosmic existence, and the whole of divided into five topics that we discussed. That the jiva is trying to find the connection with the Supreme Lord, the material nature, the time, and the karma. So when one understands how he is related to these five elements, so he understands that this is not my place. So my place is the supreme destination, the spiritual sky, the Golak Vrindavan, the highest of all. So so he makes plans for the perfection of life, and that's the permanent solution to all the problems that we're having in this life. One may have so many problems that you can list, and you may think that my problem is the worst in this world, like that everybody thinks. But so no matter whatever artificial way we try to solve these problems, they are not the solution. They may be temporary solution, just like some Prabhupada gives the example of somebody having a skin disease or some. So instead of curing at the root, suppose you apply some just to have some cooling effect on the skin. So that is not a permanent solution. Rather, suppose you have boils, so the best policy probably would be to have a surgery or to get rid of from the root. So instead of the whole world is struggling with the impermanent, partial, half-baked solutions, and that is not the goal of human form of life. So, in conclusion, Bhagavad Gita is the transcendental literature which one should study very carefully. Gita Sastram Idam Punyam Yaha Pathet Prayata Puman. If one properly follows the instruction of Bhagavad Gita, one can be freed from all the miseries and anxieties of life. Bhaya Shokadi Varjitah. it says in the Gita Mahatmya. One will be freed from all fears in this life, and one's next life will be spiritual. So there is also further advantage that is discussed in Gita Mahatmya by Adi Sankaracharya. Gita dhya, Gita adhyayana silasya pra, uh, pranayama parasya cha naiva santihi papani purvajanma kritani cha. If one reads Bhagavad Gita very sincerely and with all seriousness, then by the grace of the Lord, none of his past misdeeds will not act upon him. So, what magical things would happen if one studies Bhagavad Gita? So that is very simple, fairly simple, yet it's a secret. So when one studies Bhagavad Gita very meticulously and very scrutinizingly, so first of all, one engages his intelligence or her intelligence in the service of Krishna, understanding Krishna and his relation with this world, how the world is functioning. So, so when one invests his intelligence uh, in this process, Lord Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 18th chapter that he worships me with intelligence, and that is very much desired. So when our buddhi is invested in a Krishna conscious way, so the mind is actually superior. Sorry, the intelligence is superior element. So when it is spiritually inclined, so it is reinstated in its original constitutional position of discriminating. The function of intelligence is discrimination. So, so the discrimination, when it is guided by spiritual desires, so or rather, I would say, to the intelligence of the superior, the spiritual master. So then that intelligence is not subservient of restless mind. Rather, just like the example is given of a chariot, the body is compared to the senses are compared to the horses, the rain is compared to the mind, and the jiva is sitting along with the Paramatma in the chariot is compared to the body. So and the chariot driver is the mind. So when one's intelligence is sharpened by spiritual thoughts, so then it is easier to control the master of the senses, that is the mind. So when mind is conquered, as we know that mind is the best of the friends when it is engaged in service of Krishna in a spiritual way. So mind becomes subservient to the intelligence, spiritual intelligence. So when mind is controlled, then naturally the senses, which are naturally running towards the sense objects, they redefine the sense objects in the objects related to Krishna. Say everybody wants to have delicious, nice food, but nobody stops one to go to temple and have prasad over there. Or if you're in your home, you can cook and offer to the Lord and have prasad. So somebody wants to smell a nice fragrance, so the fragrance offered to the Supreme Lord, so the flowers offered to the Supreme Lord, one can smell that. So like that, all the senses that we have can be engaged in the service of the Lord. So that way they become purified, because that happens only because they're controllers, the mind and intelligence. They are consciously, actively engaged in service. So when they are engaged, so the subservient senses and the sense objects, they're also purified. So, so the Lord says very loudly in the last portion of Bhagavad Gita, Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam saranam braja aham tam sarva papebhyo mokshayishami masuja. So after speaking the entire Gita, so Lord makes a big declaration. So really big. So very loudly he's speaking that Sarva dharman parityajya. So you have just one dharma, that dharma is to surrender it unto me. So when one surrenders to Krishna, so all purposes of religion, all purposes of doing practicing dharma, they're all fulfilled. So that means Lord Krishna is expecting and demanding unalloyed devotional service from the jivas. So and this is an open invitation for everyone, for the spiritual world. And so to go to spiritual world, one has to qualify this move. Sarva dharman parityaja. Whatever I have, I surrender, and they are exclusively for your service. Mam ekam saranang praja. Not that Krishna is also the object of service, and there are others also, like my mind and my nation. So all these are also parallel objects of my service. That never happens. So when we make Krishna the object of our service, so naturally all others also follow. Just like if you draw a big, really big circle, and inside that you can draw smaller circles. The circle is small right from the beginning. So if you draw other circles, that would be intersections. So that is why Srila Prabhupada oftentimes says in this world there is a lot of strife. Nations are fighting, just like the Jews and the Mohammedans, they are fighting. Or here in India, the Hindus and the Muslims are fighting. Or all other places you see personal level, societal level, family level, husband and wife are fighting. So parents and children, they're fighting. The students and the teachers are fighting. Everywhere there is strife, cutthroat competition. So all these intersections are happening because people have not yet made Krishna as the focal point of their life. So when Krishna becomes the focal point of their life, then everything else is also accommodated. So in that Krishna conscious, God conscious society, there is no fight. There is only love. So that is what Krishna came here to teach us, and through his transparent via medias, the spiritual master and the devotees, Lord Krishna is teaching us that so when we make Krishna the center of our life, then everything else is taken care of, easily accommodated into the bigger picture. When we don't have bigger picture clear, then the smaller pictures, with the smaller pictures, we cook up our own world of reality, and in that reality, we become the hero or heroine, or we become the object. We try to maximize the pleasure of our senses, and that is the throughout Bhagavad Gita. Lord Krishna has taught us the ill effects of becoming subservient to our senses, our mind, restless mind. Rather, when one becomes subservient to Krishna through the via medium of the spiritual master and disciple and his and devotees, so the whole process becomes extremely easy and simple. So Srila Prabhupada used to say that this process of Krishna Bhakti is very simple for those who are simple. But for one who is crooked and complicated and he has a lot of other agendas, parallel agendas, for them it is very difficult. So, and we can see that in our life also, in the life of fellow devotees also. So, just for the learning sake, not to, uh, I mean, criticize others or become depressed about it. So, to learn the essential message from that is that. Um, Ultimately, everybody is seeking happiness, and the ultimate happiness that you can get is becoming servant of Krishna, surrendering to Him. So, so that is the ultimate destination. So, Srila Prabhupada further quotes another verse from Gita Mahatmyam. He says, "Malo nirmochanam pumsham jala snanam dine dine sakrit gitamrita snanam samsara malanasanam." One may cleanse himself daily by taking a bath in the water, but if one takes a bath even once in the sacred Ganges water of Bhagavad Gita, for him the dirt of material life is altogether vanquished. So one may go to Prayag or Rishikesh or Haridwar, other sacred places, and have a dip in the Ganges or Yamuna. So they purify certainly, but when one invests his mind and intelligence, like here, Bhagavad Gita, studying Bhagavad Gita and and dives into its timeless knowledge, then one actually acts in the root of the problem, that we are all envious of Krishna and we are having our independent agenda. So the, that root of the problem, the vidya, becomes cured. So further, Srila Prabhupada quotes Gita Mahatma, the fourth verse. Gita sugita kartabhya kim anyai sastra vistarai ya swayam padmanavasya mukha padmad vinishrita. Because Bhagavad Gita is spoken by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one need not read any other Vedic literature. One need only attentively and regularly hear and read Bhagavad Gita. In the present days, people are so absorbed in the mundane activities that it is not possible for them to read all the Vedic literature. But this is not necessary. This one book, Bhagavad Gita, will suffice because it is the essence of all Vedic literatures, and especially because it is spoken by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, see, who is being spoken by Adi Sankaracharya. So, of course, Vaishnavas have fight with the Mayavadi philosophers, but Sankaracharya was a great devotee in disguise. He came to destroy the Buddhism that has handicapped the whole Bharatavarsha. People have become godless, rejecting the Vedas. So again, that there is also another purpose why Lord Buddha preached the message of non-violence and rejecting the Vedas, because people were killing innocent animals in the name that it is described as a yajna, sacrifice. So they have the right to kill. So Lord Buddha came and he preached non-violence and he brought people to a neutral level. So then Shankaracharya came and he preached this impersonalism, and just to re-establish the authority of Vedas. So without accepting the authority of Vedas, there is no Vedic knowledge. So no Krishna Bhakti, anywhere to prosper. Vishnu Swami, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and many others. So they establish the highest perfection of life as surrendered to Krishna, that going to the spiritual world and serving over there. So so further, it is said in the Gita Mahatmya also, um, Bharatatmrita sarvasam Vishnu bhaktrat vinisritam Gita sangodakam pitva punarjanma na vidyate. One who drinks the water of the Ganges attains salvation. So what to speak of one who drinks the nectar of Bhagavad Gita? Bhagavad Gita is the essential nectar of Mahabharata, and it is spoken by Lord Krishna himself, the original Vishnu. Bhagavad Gita comes from the personality of Godhead, and Ganges is says to emanate from the lotus feet of the Lord. Of course, there is no difference between the and the feet of the Lord, Supreme Lord. But from the impartial study, we can appreciate that Bhagavad Gita is even more important than the water of the Ganges. Sarvopanishado gavo dogdha gopala nandanaha partho vatsa sudhir vokta dogdham gita amritam mahat. This Gita Upanishad, Bhagavad Gita, the essence of all Upanishads, is just like a cow, and Lord Krishna, who is famous as cowherd boy, is milking this cow. Arjuna is just like a calf. Learned scholars, pure devotees, are to drink the nectarian milk of Bhagavad Gita. So, if you have ever been to any Gosala, you know, so the cow will never give milk unless and until her calf is around. So unless and until calf drinks the milk first, so cow is not going to give milk. So here by in the process of revealing this time, Arjuna acted just like a calf. So because of Arjuna, Lord Krishna, who is the Supreme Vishnu, so he descended to this world, and because of him only, so he spoke Bhagavad Gita. Had it been the case that Arjuna had no confusion, so then Bhagavad Gita would have never come. Then we would never have been so benefited. So because Arjuna acted just like calf, so the pure devotees and learned scholars, they they have the opportunity to drink the nectarian milk of Bhagavad Gita. So what further says Gita Mahatma, seventh verse, एकसहस्रं देवकीपुत्र गीतम् एको देवो देवकीपुत्र मंत्रस्तस्य नामानि यानि कर्मापि एकं तस्य devasya seva. In this present day, people are very eager to have one scripture, one God, one religion, one occupation. Therefore, what Bhagavad Gita prescribes, Gita Mahatma, what it prescribes by Shankaracharya, Ekasastram Devaki Putra Gitam. Let there be one scripture only, that is Bhagavad Gita. And that is very practical also. Just 700 verses, you don't have to study 12 years of 12 years to master Sanskrit, basic level of Sanskrit to understand Vedic text in Sanskrit. You don't have to do that. So you don't have to go through all the 108 Upanishads and Ashtadasa Puranas, Upapuranas. There's so many Vedangas, so many texts are there in Vedic tree. You don't have to go through all of them. If you want to have a concise and yet the most profound message of the Vedic knowledge, that is Bhagavad Gita. Just 700 verses. So that is the special advantage of Bhagavad Gita. It's a cream of all Vedic knowledge. And who is speaking this? Not a devotee Acharya. Rather, it's being spoken by the chief of all the impersonalists, Sripad Sankaracharya. So he says, let there be only one scripture for the whole world, Bhagavad Gita. Eko Devo Devaki Putra Eva. Let there be one God. So for the whole world, Sri Krishna. So Eko Mantras Tasya Namani. One hymn, one mantra, one prayer, the chanting of his names. And in this Kali Yuga, by the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we have been bestowed with to chant this Mahamantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So this Mahamantra is the name of, we're chanting nothing other than the name of the Lord. So, and this is the sure shot and already time tested method of destination. Karma api ekam tasya devasya seva. And what work one should do? Let there be one work. And that is the service of the Supreme Personality Godhead. Who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead? Tasya devasya seva. That tasya deva here is Lord Krishna. So, Eka Sastram Devaki Putra scripture given by the Devaki Putra, the song spoken by him, that is Bhagavad Gita. Eko Devo Devaki Putra Eva. One God, that is Devaki Putra, Lord Krishna. Eko mantras, tasya namani yani. One mantra, his name, holy name, that we're chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Other names of the Lords also, mantras, Jai Om Namah Bhagavate Vasudevaya. But for this Kali Yuga, this Hare Krishna Mahamantra is the prescribed mantra, and particularly popularized and mercifully by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And then one work, Tasya Devasya Seva. So in these four lines, Sripad Sankaracharya summarizes the perfect way to live this life in this material world and become enlightened. So thank you very much. So this completes the introduction part, and then here, as you can see, the disciplic succession is given. We started our discussion from the need of the spiritual master. Here, as said, Tad Vijnanartham sa Gurumeva Vigachet. Here, we started from here. So, who can be Guru? Guru is one who is coming in the line of spiritual teachers. So, here you can, Bhagavad Gita, Srila Prabhupada gives a list of disciples. Krishna, then Brahma, Narada. Narad Muni instructed Vyasadeva to compose Srimad Bhagavatam. So then there is a big gap actually, many thousands of years. That is Madhvacharya. Madhvacharya actually was a disciple of Vyasadeva. It's a big story. Sometimes your teachers can tell you about that. So Madhvacharya went to Badrikashram and confirmed the Bhashya that he has written on Mahabharata and other texts. So he personally instructed by Vyasadeva. So then his disciple Padmanabh, Nuhari, Madhav, Akshobhya, like that, the disciplic succession continues. And then in that line, Madhavendra Puri comes. Madhavendra Puri is the branch of Madhu Sampradaya, Brahma Madhu Sampradaya. and from which there is another sub branch that started, that is the Gaudiya Vaishnavism, and then he initiated Ishwarapuri, and Nityanand Prabhu also Advaita. Then in that line, Lord Chaitanya came. Then Rupa Goswami, Raghunath Das Goswami, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, Narottam Das Thakur, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Baldev Vidyabhushan, Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj, then Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj, Bhakta Siddhanta Saraswati Maharaj, and then our dear A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. So then this success. So in this unbroken chain of disciplic succession, you have the advantage of learning this Bhagavad Gita as it is. That's why Srila Prabhupada has named this Bhagavad Gita as it is, Bhagavad Gita as it is. Because with academic scholarship, nobody can understand Bhagavad Gita. So there are many scholars. You ask in the university, you go and ask the religious studies department. So even though they may quote left and right the verses from Bhagavad Gita, Puranas, Upanishads, but if you look at their personal life, even they fail to be at the basic level of human being. So I'm not criticizing anyone, but that is the scene. Without being trained in disciplic succession, one does not have a privilege to understand and assimilate this timeless knowledge of Bhagavad Gita. So we are very fortunate that we have been awarded this opportunity, and we should be very careful not to lose this opportunity and to capitalize on this opportunity. Hare Krishna. So anything wrong or anything that I might have spoken that disturbed you? So sorry for that. So any questions, one, two questions, we can take it up. Otherwise, we can enter the session.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Thank you for the class. Very nice insights, and I like the IIT people always go through their experiences, and they explain very nicely. So thank you so much for that. And I would like to ask everyone to turn on their videos so that Prabhu can just get introduced to this group. Thank you so much. Any questions, anyone? Otherwise, I have one question. Yeah, Prabhu. Meanwhile, I'll ask. Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Wonderful session. Prabhuji, I was hearing you, but just with the kids' interruption around me. So you were very nicely explaining the disciplic succession. So is there like a written version of it so that we can like reread it and understand a bit more about it?
You were asking about the disciplic succession?
Yeah.
So
yes.
This list we find in the Bhagavad Gita, the introduction, at the end of introduction, you can, to validate whether it is right or wrong, that you have to do some historical studies and all these personalities do exist. They existed in the past. And that is how we get to know from our predecessor acharyas. So if you want to make a research, the biographies of some of these people are still available, like Madhvacharya. I can very well find very detailed biography in Madhva Sampradaya. Then Narahari Tirtha, the life of Madhavendra Puri, the life of the many of the acharyas, Jai Tirtha particularly also you'll find. And Vasudev, we get to know from all the Vedic literature. So you can find many details about all these acharyas. And this is not the only, by the way, this is not the only one disciplic succession. So just like a river, or many rivulets mix to the river, and then many rivers merge into the ocean. Similarly, there are many branches of the disciplic succession. Just like a tree branches out smaller sub branch like that. So this is one particular branch that we are receiving the knowledge. So similarly, there are other unbroken branches also. If you go to South India, so there will find many devout followers of Ramanujacharya. So they are not in the same line as ours. Their mode of worship is also different. But yet they're all devotees. They are proper bona fide. You know, they are also following bona fide sampradaya. So there are four prominent sampradayas that we know. One is Brahma Sampradaya, in which Madhva Sampradaya comes, and then in that Gaudiya Vaishnavism, Gaudiya Vaishnavas, we Gaudiya Vaishnavas are coming in that. Then Sri Sampraday's followers, Vishnu Swami's followers, the Rudra Sampradaya, the Pushti Margis, there in that. And then what else? Kumar Sampradaya. So, so their presence is very less, but yet still there. So I hope this answer to some extent. If
Yes,
it is a
Prabhuji.
historical
Thank you.
question, I don't have much answer for that.
Yeah. No, that was very well explained, and make my personal interest more to read Bhagavad Gita. I'm making more attached to it. I've just got one more, like a general question, if the time allows.
Yep.
Sorry for the background noise.
Yeah, please, you can go ahead.
Yes, Prabhuji, just like generally in the evening times or like any times, like living in like Western culture around us. So the kids mostly want to watch, like, say, Spider-Man movie or the latest, I don't know, whatever names the movies. And whereas I want to put some, like, say, lectures on, or the evening kirtans. So any tips, like, or any of you, like, how you can make them more like interactive for them? They will go just find another little device, a tablet or computer. They will slowly moving away when I put my lectures on, or the kirtan on. Kirtan, they sometimes like say 5 minutes, and then they'll slowly start moving away from the TV. Like, say, I personally want to listen to the lecture. I do use the earphone thing, but not always. You don't always want to hide aloof yourself in like a secluded room, and then everyone, like 3 of my kids and my husband, watching TV. So, like, I wish if they all listen to the kirtan or the lectures, like, that would be just so awesome.
Actually, it's very difficult. And first of all, if we force something on somebody, that's not going to last for long. The kids, first of all, I don't have much experience in parenting. So you can ask some senior devotee, maybe you can ask Alpa Mataji how she's taking care of her family, engaging Krishna conscious activities. But she can better help in that social situation that you are having. She knows better in that situation. But as a general answer, I can say that we cannot force anything on anyone. If we try to force, then they become rebellious, and so the very first thing they were going to do is to run away from this process itself. So we need to administer this medicine in such a way that they would like it. So Krishna consciousness is has scopes from all around. I mean, all dimensions of life can be accommodated in this. One just need to know how to do it properly. So if packaging Krishna in a suitable way, it can be made. So the kids also would be interested, and certainly we should not expect that they would be sitting like us and studying or hearing lectures. It's difficult for them. So we need to really make conscious investments in them to make them interested in Krishna. So if the kids are very young, so they like to play. So something related to Krishna can be arranged. You can talk to the senior devotee. So how it translates to, and people like to watch movies. There are not many actually cartoons like Little Krishna. They can be shown, and of course our community should make such more. Otherwise, people become naturally interested in Spider-Man rather than Krishna. So if you read the pages of Srimad Bhagavatam, you will find the story of Krishna is much more adventurous than any this Spider-Man, Iron Man, Batman, so many fake men. So, but it needs to be presented carefully. So
Yeah.
one
Like,
thing that always,
sorry, yes.
just one thing that always worked in the bygone times. I don't know how it translates now. The like the old ladies in the joint family when it used to be, the old ladies. I mean they used to tell stories about this Puranas and Mahabharata, Ramayana to the kids. So that time there were no other sources of entertainment. But now, if this storytelling could be properly injected into the curriculum of the students, I mean the kids in the kindergarten schools or something like that. So maybe that can be of good help. They will get to know this character, the adventures the characters have. So that would be easier. So we cannot force anything on anyone. So yeah, that is my
That's
inexperienced answer, I would
understandable.
say.
No, that's totally understandable. Yeah, I mean, like today, it's Navratri started, so we put up like a say 40-minute video on the TV instead of the movie. So I kind of make them involved in the who was Mahishasur and how we started Navratri. How Navratri is celebrated. So they watched that. So that was it. And after that, back to Spider-Man eventually, kind of movies.
Yeah, I'm not
Yeah,
experienced in that. Some seniors who
no,
are
thank you.
good at parenting. So
Your guidance is very
they can
valuable,
help.
Prabhuji. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Okay, so any other questions
Ritu Mataji.
or we disperse? Hare Krishna. Yes, please.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, I have one question related to kids. एक्चुअली प्रभु हम भी
Yes.
जैसे अभी सोचते हैं ना कि कई बार मैंने कोशिश की कि बच्चे मंदिर जाए, कीर्तन करे, भजन करे, मतलब हम चाहते हैं कि वो भी भक्ति में इन्वॉल्व रहे किसी ना किसी तरह। पर जब जैसे वो मतलब अभी बच्चे अपनी एज में हमने भी सब कुछ एंजॉय किया, तो अभी मैंने सोचा एक दिन कि हम इनको बहुत ज्यादा मतलब स्ट्रिक्टली फॉलो करने के लिए वो फोर्स कर रहे हैं। तो उसमें क्या होता है कई बार हमने ना उनको सब चीज़ों में मुझे लगता है अल्टरनेटिव दे सकते हैं। जैसे खाने में उनको दूसरों बच्चों को देख के मन करता है खाने का बाहर कि क्या खाना है। तो कई बार उनको यही है कि कल्चरल एक्टिविटीज़ होती है जैसे कि उनको सब चीज़ों में इन्वॉल्व करें, ना कि ओनली सिर्फ़ 24 आवर कृष्णा, भजन, कीर्तन। इससे ना उनका मुझे लगता है कि वो चिड़चिड़े और गुस्सा जैसे उनमें आ जाता है। कि अभी मुझे लगता
बिल्कुल
है कि जैसे
बिल्कुल सही
हमारे
बात
कोई
है।
मतलब अच्छी चीज़ें जैसे अभी कल्चरल सॉन्ग है, लोकल लैंग्वेज है, थोड़ा-सा ड्रामा, थोड़ा-सा एक्टिविटी, ये सब होती है ना, उन सब चीज़ों में उनको इन्वॉल्व करें जहाँ से उनको डिफरेंट डिफरेंट चीज़ें सीखने को मिले लाइफ से। कई बार हम सोचते हैं कि नहीं बच्चा सिर्फ चैंटिंग करे, कीर्तन करे, मंदिर जाए, प्रसाद ही खाए, कुछ ना खाए। तो वो मुझे लगता है कि वो थोड़ा ना बाहर की दुनिया देखेंगे, स्कूल जाएँगे और आप तो जैसे अभी हम यहाँ पे बाहर रहते हैं, तो वो बड़ा अपने आप को ना कुछ अलग महसूस करने लगते हैं। मैंने ये चीज़ नोट की है बच्चों में। तो इसलिए मैं सोच रही हूँ कि बच्चों को मतलब मेरे अकॉर्डिंग कि सब चीज़ें थोड़ा-थोड़ा उनको मतलब इंट्रोड्यूस कराया जाए कि ये सब चीज़ें होती है, पर उनको गलत और सही का डिफरेंस भी बताया जाए। अभी जैसे मोनिका
बिल्कुल
बोले कि वो सब चीज़ें देखते हैं, मेरी बेटी भी कुछ उनमें लगी रहती है कि कार्टून देखना, ये देखना, पर उसको ना थोड़ा-थोड़ा मतलब एडिक्टेड ना हो, पर थोड़ा-थोड़ा ना सब चीज़ें मतलब करने देनी चाहिए। आई थिंक सो कि उनको
ये तो
बार-बार
मैं
मतलब
तेईस है बोल सकता हूँ कि इट इज डिफिकल्ट बट टू ड्रॉ ए बॉर्डर लाइन इज ऑलवेज इम्पोर्टेंट कि
हुँ,
कितना कर सकते हैं
कितना कर
इससे
सकते हैं यस
ज्यादा नहीं।
प्रभु जी। हुँ,
अगर पूरा का पूरा बंद कर देंगे तो फिर
हुँ,
वो अपने
मुश्किल हो
सोसाइटी
जाएगा सिर्फ़ उनको ना कृष्ण अभी जैसे वो अभी पार्टिसिपेट करते हैं, ड्रामा करते हैं, जन्माष्टमी पे सब चीज़ें भगवत गीता क्लास भी अटेंड करते हैं, वो भी कर रहे हैं। प्लस उनको जो चाहिए ना कि उनका भी दिल है कि वो बाहर अभी मेरी बेटी को होता है कि वो फ्रेंड्स के साथ जाए, बाहर खेले, थोड़ा-सा एक्टिविटी करे। तो मैं उनको नहीं-नहीं ये नहीं करना, ये गलत है। मतलब थोड़ा-सा मुझे लगता है कि उनको गलत और सही का हम बता के ना उनको समझा सकते हैं कि कहाँ तक उनका एसोसिएशन होना चाहिए। और कहाँ तक उनको क्या खाना। क्योंकि मैंने भी देखा है कि मैं भी सोच रही थी कि वो पूरा दिन मंदिर जाए, भजन करे, कीर्तन करे, टीवी में कृष्णा कृष्णा चलता रहे, पर वो बोर हो गए, वो चिड़चिड़े हो गए, उनको भी मन करता है कि वो भी दूसरी चीज़ें देखें। जैसे आजकल म्यूज़िक होता है ना कि अच्छी चीज़ें, अच्छे गाने भी आते हैं थोड़ा, तो मूवी कृष्णा मूवी भी देखते हैं वो। मतलब मुझे लगता है कि सब चीज़ें होनी चाहिए बच्चे की लाइफ़ में भी, थोड़ा-थोड़ा, और उन पे आँखें रखो। मुझे ये लगता है प्रभु, एक दिन
तो
अल्पा
हमें
माता
देखना
तो
चाहिए कि
यस प्रभु जी?
हमें देखना चाहिए कि मतलब सत्वगुण में चीजें हो, मतलब हर
हुँ,
चीज मतलब एकदम फोर्सफुली करेंगे तो नहीं होता है कभी।
मुश्किल हो
सो
जाएगा बच्चे
एटलीस्ट
को भी थोड़ा।
एटलीस्ट सत्वगुणी चीजें ही करते रहें तो दैट इज बेटर।
हाँ, यस प्रभु जी।
डिटेल डिस्कशन है ये कोई एक्सपीरियंस पेरेंट्स ही बता सकते हैं अच्छे से। आई एम
क्योंकि
नो
बच्चे
वे
क्या फ़ील
इन
करते हैं
एक्सपीरियंस।
प्रभु, वो भी मुझे लगता है कि वो भी इम्पोर्टेंट है, उनको समझना भी इम्पोर्टेंट है। उनको डाँटना, उनको फ़ोर्स करना, सिर्फ़ वही चीज़ें जो हम चाहते हैं वही करें, वो मुझे लगता है कि थोड़ा-सा मतलब वो हो जाता है उन पे ना, टॉर्चर हो जाता है बच्चों पे। कि वो थोड़ा फ्रीडम से थोड़ा-सा, मुझे लगता है कि वो थोड़ा ऐसे रहे कि उनको भी जो क्या चाहिए, मतलब उनको सतोगुण में ही प्रभु जी।
बिल्कुल। आप वहाँ पे जितने सीनियर डिवोटीज हैं उनसे डिस्कस कर सकते हैं कि कैसे प्रैक्टिकली इसको करा जाए,
बच्चों को
मतलब
इन्वॉल्व रखें, हाँ प्रभु जी।
सिलेंडर।
हुँ।
हरे कृष्ण।
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी, थैंक यू सो मच।
Yes, Khyati Mata, please. Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna, Prabhuji.
हरे कृष्ण। हाँ जी माता।
First of all, would like to say thank you. When the session started, we were having our dinner, and kids were listening to your speech, and they said they appreciated it. It's nice. So thank you very much for that. And secondly, I've got question. Um, I was going through this Bhagavad Gita, this the Bhumika one, and on page 23. It says एक सूत्र मतलब यान्ति देवव्रता देवान, उसके द्वारा हम उच्चतर ग्रहों तक मुसाफरी कर सकते हैं। तो मेरा क्वेश्चन ये है कि जैसे कुछ ग्रह के विशिष्ट देव की पूजा करने से हम चंद्र सूर्य और एनी ऑफ द उच्चतर लोक में जा सकते हैं। तो अम, ये मुझे समझना है कि हमें सिर्फ कृष्णा का everything goes back to Lord Vishnu eventually, any of the demigods. But यहाँ पर जो लिखा है, अल्पा माता जी, if we remember, this is where we were finished last time,
Yes, yes.
right? So that's when I am confused. क्योंकि what we have learned until so far that um, Lord Krishna or Lord Vishnu is the ultimate. We can our goal is to be there under उनके शरण में जाना है। तो ये जो बता रहे हैं कि
सॉरी, व्हाट इज द क्वेश्चन?
हाँ जी, यान्ति देव व्रता देवान, उसके द्वारा यहाँ पर लिखा हुआ है, उसके द्वारा हम उच्चतर ग्रह जो प्लेनेट है वहां पर हम पहुंच सकते हैं, वहां तक हमारी जर्नी कैसे हो सकती है। तो क्वेश्चन है कि जैसे वेरियस प्लेनेट्स के पर्टिकुलर देवता है, तो हमें उनकी पूजा करनी है या लॉर्ड कृष्णा की स्ट्रेट अवे।
नहीं, जैसे व्हेन यू टॉक अबाउट द हायर डेस्टिनेशन यू आल्सो टॉक अबाउट the ladder that takes to the higher destination. So
राइट,
but you have the, if you have advantage of the elevator, why would you want to climb on the staircase?
राइट,
So in the process, that's a gradual promotion. So one goes to the planet of the demigods, and there is the risk also. So the planet of demigods, there is a lot of enjoyment. So one may not go further also. There is very good chance that after once punya is finished, one would come back to this material, this, I mean, this earthly kingdom again, to, because this is the place where one does tapasya. So they are the higher planetary systems, the Devalokas, they are for mostly bhoga. So they are intermediate stages, better than this earthly planet, but they are not the highest destination. So the planet of Krishna Loka or Vaikuntha planets, they are the highest destination. So it all depends what you are aspiring for. If you are aspiring for material enjoyment, then one would look for such
Demigod.
places of demigods. But if one is looking for serving to Krishna, which is the constitutional position and that's the eternal destination, I mean, the final destination. So one would take the elevator and directly go. So why to take the climbing the stairs?
Okay. So what I have understood is um, uh, the highest planet is Golok, Vrindavan. But under that, दिव्यमान जो ब्रह्म ज्योति परम धाम जो है, सॉरी, दिव्य आसमान में उनकी किरणों में जो numerous planets are moving there under the Golok of Vaikunt Lok. That's the highest, and underneath these are all these planets are above the Earth and Chandra and Surya. So in between this Chandra Surya.
So this hierarchy is not that simple. So the highest. So there are countless universes that are popping up from the body of Mahavishnu. So from in 14 planetary systems, Bhuloka, Bhuvarloka, Janaloka, Tapaloka, Maharloka, Brahmaloka, like that. There are 14 planetary systems. So in those 14 planetary systems, the discussion of demigods is that only. So they are living in these 14 planetary systems, higher 7 planetary systems. Lower ones for the Asuras, the Rakshasas, and like that.
Yes.
So, but this spiritual kingdom is way above, actually, beyond the jurisdiction of material time and space. So the universe has its own time and space. So, and this collection of all the universes, just not one. So they comprise the material creation, and this material creation is just one fragment in the whole cosmic existence, and which is countless, which is there is no one cannot fathom the depth and breadth of the cosmic existence. So there in that this if you divide the whole existence into two, based on the effulgence of Lord Brahma Jyoti. So those in the spiritual sky, the Brahma Jyoti, they are the spiritual planets, and among that, the topmost planet is Krishna's place, Krishna Loka. Just like the lotus and the petals are different Vaikuntha planets floated in the Brahma Jyoti, and then the whole of the lotus is the Krishna Loka. So and there are other in some corner the material creation. In that material creation, there are countless material universes. Every universe there are 14 planetary system, and the upper planetary systems are the destination. I mean that is the place of devas. So
Yes. I was supposed to ask this question to Alpa Mataji in our next Gujarati session, but
okay.
I thought just take the opportunity to learn from you as well. Thank you very much.
Correct.
Hare Krishna.
So I think it is time. Should we end the discussion, or if any one pressing question?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Am I audible?
Yeah, please.
Yeah, Prabhu, I have one question. I'm always confused with Madhavendra Puri. Actually, Madhavendra Puri is quite related to Srinathji, isn't it?
Srinath, yes.
So, their mood is completely different. Like Vallabhacharya, they sampradaya, they are having parental mood, and we are having this Madhurya Bhav. So, how these two sampradaya and one person is having that charge of two sampradayas and two totally different. So, because of the Vallabhacharya took charge of
Yeah.
Vishnu Swami Sampradaya, that's it. Okay.
Actually, when Gopalji was in Vrindavan, so Madhavendra Puri established him. But then, in the fear, just because Mohammedans are attacking very frequently, so they shifted Srinathji Nathdwara. So there actually the Vallabha Sampradaya devotees later on they actually took charge of the Lord. So
Yeah.
because the way one has the mood, that way he worships. So the mood changed. But at from the very beginning, Madhavendra Puri was he was deeply into Madhurya Rasa. So and I mean he was residing in Govardhan, and Gopal appeared in his dream. So I mean that is the history. So because Vallabhacharya took charge of the worship of Srinathji, so Gopalji, so who became Srinathji.